Hi, welcome to Luxury in Moderation, where we appreciate the finer things in life without going overboard. So I know it's been a little bit since I posted, but I am back. You can see I got a haircut. I had to change my background a little bit, but I am back. And first thing I wanted to do is thank you all to my wonderful subscribers. I just hit 4,000 subscribers, and I'm so happy that I'm making content that you guys enjoy, that you guys can learn from, and that we can talk about these luxury items and lifestyle and handbags. And again, thank you so much. In today's video, I wanted to talk about two theories that I've been thinking about, that's been ruminating in my mind. You might think that they're like unpopular opinions or conspiracy theories. I'm not really sure what they are. They're just thoughts that are, I don't know, outside of the mainstream, and I haven't really heard anyone else talking about it. So let's first talk about the Row and how they had the next Birkin with one of their bag styles. I need to look it up because I don't keep up with the Row bags and their style names, but I'll post a picture. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, right? I believe it was last year that all this news came out of how the Row had the next Birkin. So many articles everywhere talking about the next Birkin. And right off the bat, I was like, okay, well, this is weird because it's such a huge claim, first of all. The Birkin has been built up into this giant status symbol in the luxury community, and it's been like decades, okay? The Birkin has been around for decades. With social media, it really skyrocketed into its huge luxury status at the moment, but it's been around for so long. I need to look up if the Birkin has even been around longer than the Row brand itself, right? Like, for you to be truly luxury, you need to have a long history, a long heritage, a long tradition. That's part of the definition of luxury. It's just like being called wealthy versus rich, right? Innately, there's a time element to it. So, as someone who kind of has heard about the Row, I know about the origins, I know they've been around for a while. I actually really love Mary-Kate and Ashley because I grew up with them, but it's not like this giant luxury house that has all this heritage. So I'm not someone who particularly pays attention to their things. I think that all of these articles were put out there because the Row was pushing this narrative. I think that it was the Row's PR team who was trying to make this big splash about this particular bag style. It's quite a different thing if you have a third party like a Vogue, like a Vanity Fair, someone else who wants to say like, oh, I think that bag is really classic. I think it's as a huge status symbol. It's kind of like a Birkin, like that's someone's opinion. That's a third party's opinion that, could go viral, that could spark conversation. But I think it's a little bit more, not exactly sinister, but calculating when the company itself is maybe trying to push this narrative and they're trying to push it in a not obvious way. So obviously they're not going to call it the Birkin bag themselves on their own website or on their own blogs or, their own channels. They're going to have someone else do it, right? That's why they pay a PR team who's probably paying one of these other magazines or news outlets or whatever to say this about their bag. So already last year, I was kind of suspicious of like, are they the ones doing this? Because it honestly doesn't make any sense. Like, how could you compare some style that was created, I don't know, in the last 2-3 years to a Birkin and claim that it's going to be the next Birkin when the next Birkin is probably the Kelly bag, okay? Like, There's no comparison. It just makes zero sense. But because all of these articles were being pushed out, they were kind of artificially creating this viral moment. I don't think anyone else is calling it the next Birkin other than themselves, okay? And what's even weirder is now they're claiming they want to discontinue this style bag. And, one argument could be like, oh, it got so popular that they don't want it to be that well known. And now we're discontinuing it because everyone knows about it. But everyone knows about the Birkin, and Hermes is not discontinuing the Birkin, okay? Like, now the row is thinking they're not exclusive enough and they need to be even more exclusive than Hermes. And, like, what is their strategy, right? It just makes no sense to me at all of why they're doing this. Maybe it's because their artificial viral moment failed. Like, maybe they were like, we are estimating and forecasting that this viral campaign that we paid for is going to sell 10,000 of these bags. And it didn't reach that. So then the head company guy was like, okay, well, you failed, so we are now discontinuing this bag because it cost too much to make, and we spent all this marketing on it and it was negative ROI. I'm thinking about it in a business sense, because I kind of know the workings of how a luxury company, or honestly any company, operates, right? If you don't generate profit on a particular bag style, you're going to want to discontinue it. And they tried to increase the popularity, increase the trendiness of this style, and based off of their reaction of discontinuing it, they failed. And they're trying to spin it as, oh, it's because we want to be more exclusive. Comparing that argument to a bag that is actually exclusive, that is actually generating Hermes hundreds of $1,000s in profits, that they're not discontinuing it, it just doesn't make sense, guys. So that's my first theory. Now let's talk about my second theory, or it's just like a reasoning in my mind that I'm like, how come no one else is talking about this? So we've heard a lot about how the quality of fakes has gone up, right? There's super fakes, there's fakes that use the real leather that, let's say, Hermes bags use or Chanel bags use. At this point, counterfeiters, they have the real bag, they take it apart, just like, this tan Leatherson guy, he can take apart the bag. You can actually cut out the same pattern, and sew your own bag together, right? Like, there's also this, video I saw about a guy who made a Birkin for his girlfriend out of leather and sewed it all up himself. And it's just like a Birkin bag, but it doesn't have the Hermes stamp on it. Like, this day and age, you can create the same bag with the same leather. You could even replicate the saddle stitch if you Google it and practice it enough, honestly, right? Like, what's to stop a regular person from learning how to do it themselves and sewing up a bag? So my point is, if these fakes are so good that the difference in quality is almost imperceivable, then you have to also know the amount of upcharge that these companies are selling these bags for, right? Because we know the cost of the leather, we know, the time it takes, the labor to create it, the cost of the materials. Someone could really research that and buy a very high quality chain, zipper, all of that. So why is no one outraged at the price differential? They're just outraged that these fakes are on the market. And oh my gosh, like, you could get a super fake and you don't even know it. It just goes to show you that the fake, the quality of something that doesn't come from the original house, can be just as good as the original. And when there was that Dior scandal, last year with the book bag and how little it cost to make the book bag, yes, people were outraged at the quality of the living conditions that the laborers were in. And yes, once we discovered, like, oh, it only takes $56 to make a Dior book bag, people were kind of like talking a little bit about the price difference and why are they selling it to us for like $3,000 and they're making, basically $3,000 in profit. Like, there's a little bit of that discussion, but I feel like it's not enough, guys. Like, let's talk about what you're paying versus the quality that you're getting. Like, what are we paying for? I've been saying since last year, if you know you're paying for the upcharge for the brand, like, let's be honest about it. Let's talk about it. I know when I paid for my mini Evelyn. It's not that hard of a bag to create. It's a tiny amount of leather and stitching involved, but it was still more than $2,000. So I'm paying $1,000 for the name Hermes, and I'm paying $1,000 for the leather, the labor, shipping, packaging, marketing. Like, that's how I justify it in my mind, right? So is everyone okay just paying $2, $3, $4,000 for the brand names? Like, please, let's be honest and talk about this within the luxury community, because hey, we all know we're paying the upcharge for the luxury name. Like, that's what our community loves. I like paying for a name that I know is recognizable versus one that's not recognizable. I'm willing to admit that to myself. So I'm wondering, is everyone else having the same thoughts? Like, if we could get a super fake with amazing quality leather stitching, it looks almost exactly the same. You almost can't tell. Like, even if you touch it, you smell it. Like, these super fakes, they're supposed to be amazing quality, just like the real thing, for a fraction of the price, like 10% of the price, than if you bought it in store. Are you okay paying that 90% because it comes from that brand name? I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this crazy of me to bring up? Is it like, oh, no one's talking about it because it's pretty obvious already? I feel like people are only talking about one half of the equation, which is the fake half of the equation. Like, oh my gosh, we got to protect ourselves from the fake quality. But on the other side, if the fake quality is so good, then what are we paying for?
So I filmed this video before this Chinese manufacturer video came out on TikTok, and basically this guy is claiming that they're making authentic luxury handbags in Chinese factories. So I guess it's very timely and tangential to my point that I'm making here in my video about the cost of luxury goods versus fakes on the market. I do believe that these Chinese factories are not making real luxury, authentic handbags. I think that these videos were created to sell fakes or replicas, which is not what I'm advocating for. I do believe that at least Hermes makes all of their handbags in France, and they have trained artisans, that they've trained for years and years to make Birkins and Kellys and all of their handbags. I guess my point in this video is, let's just be honest with the amount of markup that we pay for these luxury handbags. Maybe that's a given. If you're in the luxury community, maybe it's just understood, and maybe that's why nobody's talking about it, but it seems to be unspoken, right? Like, even in my videos, I'm saying like, oh, this handbag is so practical, the zipper is very smooth, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, at least 50% of the cost is purely because of the luxury name that I'm paying for. And I guess that was just my point as I thought about the quality of these fakes.
So those are just the two thoughts that I wanted to share today. I'm curious if you guys have some of your own theories. What do you think warrant some conversation within this luxury community. I would love to hear your thoughts, so leave some comments below, and thank you so much for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye!